New Fields. This is organized by the Indy Chamber, civic leaders, business professionals coming out to, yes, socialize. There is food and drinks, but really a lot of eyes are going to be on this debate, and you're about to walk the room.
A lot of opinions out there, so I'm going to go walk around and hobnob myself. So
okay.
I'll leave you up here.
All right. Thanks,
all right,
Mike. We'll see you soon. I'm joined now by Abdul Hakim Shabazz, a WIBC contributor and Indy Politics producer. So, Abdul, thanks for being with us, first of all. A huge night for these candidates. You have watched and analyzed all of the debates leading up to this and have had a lot to say. What makes tonight so important?
Well, the first thing is, if you're at home playing a drinking game and you take a shot every time Mike Braun says outsider or Joe Donnelly says healthcare, you'll probably be hammered by about 7:15, so do not do the drinking game.
Okay, so this is going to be a real interview right now.
Yeah, no, but all due seriousness, I mean, this is very important. I mean, all the polling that's been done, the polling we did at IndyPolitics.org shows a very, very close race between Joe Donnelly, Mike Braun, and there's enough undecideds that Lucy Britton can have an impact on which one of these two folks goes to the U.S. Senate.
Okay, let's talk about Lucy, because right now about 3% of voters have said that they're going to vote for Lucy Britton, Libertarian. 8% are undecided. That makes her a potential spoiler. And in fact, in recent weeks, the Democratic Party has sent out flyers urging Democrats to vote Libertarian. Explain that and the strategy behind it.
A couple things. I've never subscribed to the theory that third parties are spoilers. I mean, they work, they got on the ballot, they are just their vote, their place on the ballot is just as good as anyone else. No one owns anybody's vote. Now, if you're a Democrat, what they've probably done is targeted in their mailers voters who probably voted in a Republican and Democrat primary and maybe switched, saying those voters might be the ones who are undecided. So if you think about Mike Braun, don't vote for him because he's raised taxes. Vote for Lucy Britton. This is actually a tactic that I want to say Joe Donnelly used back in the mid-2000s when he ran against Jackie Walorski, and apparently it worked to get him into Congress.
Interesting. So we might be seeing a repeat here. Let's talk about the issues. Voters have said health care, the economy, big, important topics for them. Yet we've heard not a whole lot. We've heard mostly attack ads from these candidates, especially Braun and Donnelly. What can we expect tonight? Any specific topic addressing here?
Well, if you try to, if you're these candidates, you're basically, this is your time to make closing arguments and try to seal the deal. Like I said, the fact that there's so many undecided voters still out there enough to make a difference should worry both campaigns. If you're Joe Donnelly, if somebody was undecided still, are they still likely going to maybe give you a vote? And if you're Mike Braun, why haven't you gotten those people on board? So I can see sort of both candidates playing sort of a dual track. Talking to their bases to make sure they stay motivated to get out and vote. So look for Joe Donnelly to talk about health care. He was a deciding vote. Mike Braun to talk about, Judge Kavanaugh and Donald Trump needs a partner. But at the same time, maybe they may try to show a little bit of independence and maybe appeal to some of those more moderate, independent voters who are still in that 8 to 11% undecided.
So would you say it's fair to say goals for tonight for these two candidates specifically, don't make any major mistakes, A, and B, try to separate yourself from the other, which has been a challenge for both of these candidates so far. They're relatively similar because this is Indiana. Explain our voter base here.
Yeah, this is Indiana. This is a state that Donald Trump won by 20 points. You can't ignore that, and that's why both the candidates are trying to appeal to sort of the Trump voter, but from a different perspective. Mike Braun's been trying to appeal to the Trump loyalists. Joe Donnelly's been trying to basically say, hey, Trump voter, you may not agree with me, but don't vote against me because I supported the president on the wall, but I believe in health care, I agree with him on, these XYZ. So Joe's been trying to sort of triangulate himself, with those voters who, maybe like the way things are going, but not necessarily be crazy about Donald Trump. Once again, the challenge is, how do you walk that fine line to keep your base happy and appeal to the independent voter?
Okay. Abdul Hakim Shabazz, thanks so much, as always, for your insight. We'll talk more with you, I'm sure, throughout the night. But let's send it out to Mike Bars, who is walking the room. Mike.
Yeah, lots of important people out here. A lot of people trying to get their ears bent by some of the folks here as well. One of those is Congresswoman Susan Brooks, representing District 5. And you got your own little race going on right now.
Yes, and it's great. We're closing in on the last week, and really excited to be here. There's a lot of energy here. People are excited to watch the Senate debate. That's where most of the attention is in the state of Indiana. But I think people are excited to watch that, excited for the race to be over. But, there's just so much happening in the country that I think we'll hear about a lot of different things that we haven't heard about in past debates.
Yeah, it seems like in the past few debates, at least my observation is they've kind of gone after each other, and there's a lot of issues that people really want to hear about, like health care and immigration. Is that what you're kind of hearing from your constituents?
No, absolutely. I visited a company in Noblesville today, Metro Plastics, and they were talking about the healthcare costs and the issues that they have as an employer. But also I was up in Marion at the Rotary today, visiting with their Rotary Club, and people do have concerns and a lot of questions about immigration. They also asked me about the national debt. But I think since the last debate, we've got the issue of domestic terrorism. I mean, and as a former U.S. attorney, after 9/11, we dealt with domestic terrorism, the anthrax attack in the nation's capital, and hoaxes all around the country, as well as, of course, the 9/11 attacks. And so I think there's more of a focus now than there was in the past on issues, involving the hate in the country and the divide, but also the anti-Semitism and what has happened in Pittsburgh. And I was pleased to be a part of the Indianapolis Hebrew Congregation event last night, where faith communities came together and the community came together to say we will not tolerate anti-Semitism.
And the tone in Washington right now, what's the overall tone?
We've been out of Washington for most of the month, but I have to say, I mean, there is so much focus on all of these very important elections around the country, and I think though people want to find a way to bring the country together, and they know that this kind of terror and this kind of hate is not who we are. Our country was founded on religious freedom and on being able to worship in a place of worship in peace. And what happened in Pittsburgh is so horrific. And for the Jewish community in particular, they've been sharing with all of us the rise of anti-Semitism, and we're now seeing it, and we must stop it.
We'll see if that becomes a topic here tonight as well. Congresswoman, thank you so much. Pleasure to see you. I'm sure you're ready for Tuesday as well. All right, we'll be right back here from Newfields after the break.